All right. Well, hey, everyone. This is Dee Corchin and Meg Johnson, and we are here. This is our very first live virtual summit, Be More in 2024. And so glad that you've made the decision to invest in yourself, to learn more, to be more. And that is really, truly what Optavia is about. And what we're hoping that this next 90 minutes will do will be inspire you to take your next step, whatever that looks like for you, provide you some really valuable knowledge that will allow you to go a little deeper and get those results you're looking for. And then we've got a really cool live demo at the end as well.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see this live cooking demonstration. Hey, everyone, I'm Meg Johnson and excited about this morning. I love the topic and I love the name of Being More in 2024. And I'm just curious, what do you want to be more in 2024? So if you would just put in the chat and really going to challenge you to think about this, like, what is it? If you could just snap your fingers and be more of this, is it healthier? Is it fitter? Is it stronger? Is it calmer or more peaceful? We would love to know. So, and I'm just going to go ahead and look to see, more confident came up, healthier, more intentional. That one is such a powerful one. Love all of this, more authentic. That is just beautiful, more serene. Woo, I feel that.
Yeah.
So keep thinking about that this morning. And, I'll tell you, this company, Optavia, has allowed so many of us to be more of who we are. And it's one of the reasons why we're so excited to be here today.
Yeah. So before we go a little any further and continue as you are logging in, it is so fun to see this room filling up. Share with us where you're watching us from. If you want to share something about your journey, pop it in the chat. If we say something that inspires you, sometimes just popping it in the chat. It'll reinforce it in your own mind, and maybe somebody who missed it will see the point of that. Would love for you to do a couple housekeeping things. We love if your video is on. We'd love to see you. If that's possible, we would love, not if you're driving, none of that, but if possible, if you can put your video on. If it's less distracting to you, you may want to go up into your upper right-hand corner and choose speaker view. Sometimes it can be, just depending on how you feel about that. And then the other thing is, and this is real important because we have two drawings, is if you could, wherever your square is, you have a little bubble that has three little dots. And if you could make sure that your name is showing on the screen versus Zoom user or Galaxy, whatever the name of your phone is, because we would love to see your name to know that you're here, so that you do have to be present in order to win one of our drawings, which is going to be awesome. Did I miss anything there, Meg, before we introduce ourselves?
No, but I think one of the great things to do, if you can, is put your hands up like this and place them on the keyboard so that you can get ready to chat and make this as interactive as we can. I always feel like when I'm more interactive, when I'm using that chat feature, I get a lot more out of it. And I know you're here because you want to get a lot out of this morning.
Yeah. So I'm going to pop up. I want to share just some images to introduce myself. I found Optavia, I can't even believe it. It's almost 13 years ago. And I was in a place in my life that I was searching. In a lot of ways, I think I was hiding from the world. And that's why I showed this picture on the left of the face-to-face. This picture on the left was taken the week before I made a decision to become an Optavia client and coach. I did make that decision on the same day. We were actually on vacation on this picture. I mean, and I look totally stressed out. And it's just because I was kind of in a sad place. Had been a stay-at-home mom for years. You can get kind of lose yourself in that process. Had a lot of underlying things in my life I didn't realize until I found Optavia needed to be addressed. But by saying yes to this program, not only did I have a physical transformation, which you can see there, I lost about 17 pounds in 6 weeks. And the great thing is I can tell you with what you learn through Optavia, I can tell you here almost 13 years later, by living the habits of health, I feel amazing. I'm leaner, stronger, and couldn't believe more strongly in the power of our program. But for my personal story, a huge piece of this was the mental health, creating a healthy mind and healthy finances. And as I said, the girl on that left there, she was kind of in a dark place, didn't even realize I was in that dark place. But I took the word courage and decided to step forward. And ironically, two rocks that I pulled today, I always pull two inspirational rocks. The two rocks I pulled, one was courage and the other was freedom. And what I want you to know is that when you take that step of courage to begin making change in your personal life, and you're willing to make this more than a diet and actually look at the underlying structure, right? We've got to make the mind, we're going to talk about that. That's where the true change comes from. That's where you can actually start to step into an authentic place. And I saw a few of you say you wanted to live authentically. Authentically means real, it means actual and true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. And I can tell you that is the biggest gift and the greatest freedom I've achieved through Optavia. How about you, Meg?
Man, that is beautiful. For me, I think it's hard to just pick one thing that I've learned or gained from Optavia. I go back, I started this program, goodness, about 6.5 years ago now, and I was broken at the time. Like I was so tired. I tried all the things and I felt lost. I had two little kids. I was a stay-at-home mom doing all the things for all the people. And I was really resistant to the program at first. My first conversation with Dee, we talked, I learned about the plan, and then I ignored her for 6 months. And it was just, I just wasn't ready. And if I could do anything, I would go back and say yes sooner and jump in. And, I think we're all on our own journeys, but I am so grateful that I had the courage to trust the system, trust the plan, trust my coach, Indy, and just do the next right thing. So wherever you find yourself on your own journey, we just want you to know it's okay. And there is a place for you. And we believe there's something for you to learn this morning. We are going to spend some time where you're going to hear from clients that are going to share their stories that are going to be powerful. You are going to hear from two neuro experts who are we call them the dynamic duo, and they're going to give us some brain hacks. And then we're going to have a live cooking demo. And in just a minute, we're going to pick some winners for a couple of drawings. But I'm just so glad that you made the decision to show up today. And I know sometimes we got to have that courage to take that first step. So this is a really powerful time of year, and it's evident by the fact that you are here this morning. So I would love to encourage you to use the chat right now and let us know, why did you show up today? What is it that you are hoping to get out of the next 90 minutes? I know one of our hopes is that we will all be a little bit more intentional, but we want you to be intentional with your choice for what you will get out of today. Dee?
Yeah, that's such a good thing. And I love that you talked about the word trust and intentionality, because if you really want to make change, the theme of this was be more in 24. If you want to make change, it requires intentionality. Sometimes we start off with great, grand ideas, but then, life gets, we get caught up in life. And before you know it, you could be months into the year and not making progress, because it's weird. But with our health, very often it doesn't seem urgent. Probably the most important thing in our life, but it doesn't seem urgent. But what we want to help you do is move it up on your priority list and guide you through and help you realize how you can navigate a busy life and prioritize your health, and how by doing that, it actually helps you show up better in all areas of life. So while I'm talking a little bit about the company, Meg is going to help us prepare for our first drawing that we're going to do right after that, making sure that you do have to be registered in order to be there and be present on the call. So we're going to work on that. But let me just I know on this call, we have a couple of different types of individuals, right? You may be an individual that really isn't familiar with our program, our company, and just taking a look at us. and welcome. We want that. Our mission is to help get America healthy. We know that happens one person at a time. So I'm grateful that somebody invited you who cared about you to be on this with us. Second, you might be a client with us. You may be a current client who's rocking and rolling with their health, or you might be a current client who's maybe struggling a little bit and maybe hasn't plugged into all 4 components, or really doesn't understand the scope of what you really have in your hands. Or maybe you were with us in the past and are thinking about coming back. And the great thing about Health Journey is it never ends. And the great thing about Optavia is the door is always open. We are all here. I am 13 years into the journey. Meg is many years into the journey, and we're all learning and growing. So let's talk just for a minute about the company itself and the history, because that might not be something you're totally aware of. Our story is Optavia is under the parent company of Medifast. Medifast has been around in the medical community for almost 40 years. It is backed by over 20,000 physicians, and our programs have been clinically studied by major teaching hospitals like Johns Hopkins University and many other major teaching hospitals and the National Institute of Health. We are a publicly traded company. We are on the New York Stock Exchange. We are governed by the FTC, the Food and Drug Administration, and what I'm so proud of is our credibility. We have helped, at this point, almost 3 million people to better health. What you see there on the far right was we were being recognized at the point that we hit 2 million people that we had been able to impact their health and their life. And that was right there in Times Square that we were recognized. Other accolades that we have is Forbes magazine has ranked us for numerous years being on the list of America's most trustworthy companies. And I don't know about you, that was something that was very important to me when I was looking at this. And for several years, we were in the list of fastest growing companies. And at one point, the second fastest growing company in the world. So that's pretty exciting. But how we actually came to shape and the Optavia itself and our mission was through this man who is Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson. And Dr. Anderson had an extensive career in the medical community, and he was one of the first critical care physicians. And primarily what he was working with was people in the cardiac area, people that had had heart attacks, people that had strokes. And he was brilliant. He was so good at helping put people back together. And he said people would look them in the eye and ask, just, give me the ability to have more life, doc. Just give me the ability. So that is an example of when we don't prioritize our health. Maybe we have an intention, but our lifestyle habits have led us to the point that we're not where we want to be. And there can be serious health implications. And he decided that just doesn't make sense. And so he actually walked away from the healthcare system, the reactive healthcare system, and said, you know what? I want to get on the front side of this. I want to help people live quality lives and develop the healthy lifestyle, reach that healthy weight, and develop the habits so that they can sustain it for life and live the quality life. We talk about optimal health, and that means freedom to live life and center it around what's most important to you. And the other thing that's so cool, and that's why I included these pictures of Dr. A with us, is that he is probably the most approachable man. If you told him your story right now, he would probably tear up, because this is exactly what he stands for, this mission, and doing it over 20 years. The mission hasn't changed. In fact, it's stronger than ever as the world continues to evolve.
That is so good. And he is the real deal. That's one of the things that I love about him, is he's just the real deal. We've had several people join us this morning. We're so glad you're here. If you wouldn't mind changing your Zoom name to be your actual name, you'll be entered. You'll be eligible for the drawings that we'll be doing. And Dee, what do you think about picking our first winner?
I think so. Were you able to check the list to see who's there?
I did. Our first winner is Martha Whiteley. So Martha, congratulations. We are so glad that you're here, and glad you are our first winner.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. We are going to be doing another drawing later in the presentation. So hang on, hold tight, because you could be a winner. Before we go further, we're going to talk a little bit more about our component, what makes us so unique, and why our program works, especially from a sustainability, a longevity perspective. But before we go there, really wanted you to hear from somebody, a client of ours, who is on her journey. I am going to welcome Susan. Susan, if you want to come off mute, your story is so inspiring already. And I know you've got big goals and you're continuing. So can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah, we can't wait to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm probably about halfway through my journey. My journey started when I guess it was last March. I had a back injury. Not because I was playing some exotic sport or doing some exotic activity, but I think I literally bent over to pick something up off the floor, and it had me down and out for a couple weeks. And with that, I was forced to go see a doctor. It was so painful, and I just didn't know what else to do. And I had avoided doctors for years. But I think now that back injury was my wake up call. That back injury was some higher force telling me, get your act together. And I feel so blessed and lucky that it was something urgent that had to be handled, but it wasn't something irreversible. And I even think now, as my doctor and I are working closely with my numbers and all that, is that it was something that was easy to recover from without consequences. So after I recovered from that back injury, that's when I finally made the call to my friend Jennifer. And she's been a coach for a while, and I knew I needed something with support. I know weight has always been an issue for me, but it was really, I think, COVID that took over, and it ballooned, and I just didn't realize it. And I remember thinking, even before I made this call to Jennifer, and I don't know that I've even ever told her this, I remember thinking, though, gosh, if I could just get the weight off, then I can go back to living. And then I can go back to doing what I've always done. And it did not take me long to realize, it probably even the first 10 pounds was, oh my goodness, getting the weight off and feeling better is the living. I don't want to go back to where I was. So, for me right now, there's no more hiding behind people in pictures. And like I said, I'm only about halfway through with my journey. I've got about 40 more pounds to go. And there have been ups and downs. It has not been a linear journey. What I've appreciated most about it is, even when I have bumps in the road, or even when there's challenges, I don't avoid my coach, because that's where she's really the most powerful for me. And I realize I'm pretty much telling the world this, but even as a teacher, reading is not my favorite thing to do. So sitting down in that life book was not natural for me. I was not going to start on page 1 and get to, whatever. And Jennifer, what I've loved about working with her is, when I have a struggle, she knows exactly where to tell me to go. And our latest conversation was over some bad habits creeping back in. And those were habits of nighttime snacking. And I didn't know what the trigger was. And I haven't even told her this yet, but I figured out what the trigger was. I work hard to get my water in every day, all day. And then I treat myself after dinner with a Diet Coke, because what could that hurt? And I started seeing the consistency when I had that Diet Coke. Then I had a cracker. Then I had 6 crackers. Then I had 12 crackers, or whatever else I wanted to snack on. So now there's no more Diet Coke in my house. But it's little things like that she, the coaching aspect has just helped me stay focused. It's put me into the right pages of my mindset, or of my book, to help me understand my mindset. I do realize, once I understand it, I do a much better job of doing something about it. So
That is powerful. You
Yeah.
said so many gems in there. But I love what you said. I heard, yeah, so here's this thing on freedom, right? Freedom. I no longer hide in pictures, right? The freedom was the 10 pounds gone, realizing you didn't want to go back. And then look at that self-discovery, right? Of, whoa, I'm rewarding myself, but then that reward is leading to other things that actually put me back in prison again,
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so good. So good. So thank you, Susan, for being willing to share your
Yeah.
story with
Thanks for
us.
having me.
Love it. Love it. So Meg, I think you're going to talk about all the components of the program and what does make us so unique.
Yeah, I love that. And man, Susan, you just set us up so beautifully for that, because you kind of talked about them and how they all helped you in your own journey. So one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, and we really think about it like, Optavia is a chair, right? There's 4 components. And if you don't have one of the legs of your chair, it's not going to be a chair, right? You're going to fall right over. So we think about this plan. It's so much more than a plan. So the first component is having a coach. And when you work with a coach, your results will be double everyone else's, because you've got support, you've got encouragement, you've got accountability, and you've got somebody who believes in you often before you can even believe in yourself. I know that's what happened with me. The second component Susan talked about, and that's the habits of health. So we have this habits of health transformational system. And the goal of the habits of health is to get up in here, right? Because it's not about what we're eating, it's about why we're eating it, right? If we don't change what's going on in our heads, we won't get the lasting results that we need. And we know if you've struggled with your weight for any amount of time, it all comes down to our habits and why we have those habits and how we're going to fix those habits. So if you haven't jumped into that portion of the program, I hope you'll take Susan's word for it. And I hope you'll just try. You'll just give it a chance, because it makes such a big difference. 5 minutes a day in the Habits of Health transformational system can make a massive change. That's the second component. The third component you're experiencing today, and it is this Optavia community. So we've got a couple of different ways you can be a part of the community. We have Zooms, not only every now and then, like you're on today, but we also have a monthly Zoom just with our community page and a weekly Zoom with all of Optavia. But that community page is a place that was so helpful for me as a client to know I wasn't alone. I saw somebody who had lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks when she had started the program, and I was like, if she can, I can too. So we hope that you are in that Facebook group. If you're not, talk to the person who invited you here. We'd love for you to just experience that support, but it is next level. And then the last component of the program is the nutrition plan. And people think it's like the component of the plan, but really it's just one of 4 components, that nutrition plan. And we have several different plans. We actually have 5 different plans that we support now. So we've made a big change recently, which is exciting. But what I love about the nutrition plan, been coaching over 6 years, I've never seen it not work. It works. If you follow the plan is going to work for you. And as somebody who struggled with her weight for decades, it's just incredible to have the hope that something's going to work, right? I mean, I know what it's like to not have that hope. And so knowing what it's like to have hope for change is just huge. So we could go on and on about the different components, but what we really want to do is make this about you. And so we asked you why you showed up today. And we talked a little bit about what you want to enjoy more of in 2024, but we also want you to take a minute and rate your current state of health. So I want to ask you, and that could mean different things to each of us, but what would you say right now of your current state of health? Are you thriving in your health? Are you maintaining, or are you declining and struggling? So if you would you can tell yourself just in your own heart and head, or you can put it in the chat, but really want to challenge you to think about, where are you right now? And then let's talk about where you want to go. What will be next for you? So want to just challenge you to take a minute. And if you have something to write on, a paper and a pen, take some notes and really think about, what is it that you want less of? You want less of caffeine? Do you want less of the negative voice that you hear in your head? You're going to hear some tips about that in just a few minutes. Do you want less of maybe some of the chocolate, some of the bad habits, some of the late night snacking? And then what is it that you want more of? More positivity, more good nutrition. Maybe it's that you want some more good sleep. The Habits of Health will help you on those sleep habits so that you feel more rested at the end of the night, which is so helpful. So what do you want less of? What do you want more of? And really it starts with knowing what areas you want to work on, right? So as we start, I mean, this is a perfect, we're in the middle of January. So it's a perfect time to say, okay, this year, I'm going to work on these areas. And I would just challenge you, don't say I'm going to work on every area. I'm going to do it all. Pick one that you really want to focus on. And we hope at the end of today, you're going to have more clarity and you're going to know what that next step is. Dee? You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, it goes right back, Meg, to what we talked about, right? We've got to be clear, right? Clear on where am I? Where am I? We call that your current reality. And then what's your vision? Where do you want to go? And so we can start to sort through this. What do I want more of, right? But unless you have that clarity, it's like having your roadmap, right? If you're just got in your car and randomly drove, you may or may not end up at your destination. But if you're very clear of what it is you want more of in your life, that is going to be what pulls you to actually do the things that will help you achieve it and live that life that you want. But there's this funny little thing that happens in between all of that, of a goal and where we want to go. So Meg, do you want to introduce our next section and talk about the brain?
Absolutely. So we've got our dynamic duo that's coming up here. And, you know, I lost my weight a while ago, right? About 6 years ago, I lost 44 pounds. And what we know is it really comes down to our habits. And so we've got two incredible humans right here that are going to speak to us. They are neuro professionals, so they are known in the neuro world. So Dr. Robin and Stephanie, and not only do they know what they're talking about as it relates to the brain, but they are just incredible human beings and they are the real deal. So Dr. Robin and Stephanie, we can't wait to hear from you guys.
Hey, awesome. Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Hey, good morning.
Yep, you're good. We can hear you.
Perfect. Yeah. So grateful for this opportunity and this community and just being able to come together to share, right? To kind of share not only our stories, but share about our struggles and share about the things that have worked for us as well, right? I want to ask, have you ever decided that you were going to start something new, right? And you made a commitment to yourself that you're going to stick with it. You come out of the gate super motivated and successful. And then after a short time, right? Like you fall off or your new routine gets disrupted. Oh, me too. Me too. You are not alone with that. You're not alone. So why is it seemingly so hard to stick to our goals and form healthy habits? Dr. A, we talked about Dr. A, he would say it all depends on you, right? It all comes from within here. And so our brain processes over 10 million bits of information per second, which is crazy, right? But yet only a small fraction of that information is actually in our conscious awareness. And so what we're hoping to do is just provide a very, very brief overview of how habits are formed, how habits operate, and how to adjust your habits. So you've got some brain tips and hacks as well. But ultimately, hopefully it will normalize the struggle, right? Rather than us always feeling like, what's wrong with me that I can't stick with what I'm doing? No. I'm hoping that we can help impart some knowledge to just help you understand how habits work, to be more mindful and intentional, to then make choices that align with your goals. So let's start from the beginning, right? Got to start from the beginning. Let's level set here. So the dictionary defines a habit as an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly involuntary or automatic, right? You think of those things that are like you're on autopilot. So essentially, if a behavior is repeated enough, the connections become automatic in your brain, like when you ride a bike, drive a car, right? And that frees up the thinking parts of the brain for more novel and or creative purposes, right? Okay, so habits are heavily reliant upon the connections in the brain, right? So we're just going to show you a very basic picture of the brain. As we know, the brain is very complex, right? And habit formation is a complex process that involves different brain regions, neural circuits, pathways, and psychological factors. So there's two primary brain regions that are involved with habits. So we have the prefrontal cortex. So I want everyone, just touch your forehead, right? This is the prefrontal cortex. This is the thinking part of your brain. This is where all the decisions are being made, things in your conscious awareness, okay? Then we have the basal ganglia. So go ahead and kind of just touch the side. It's sort of this deep structure kind of toward the back of your head. The basal ganglia helps to regulate automatic behaviors, right? So these are the two main areas. We've got the prefrontal cortex and we've got the basal ganglia, right? When we first learn a new behavior or a new habit, how does it feel? It feels really effortful, right? It feels really effortful. Essentially, the prefrontal cortex is guiding the active decision making and the conscious effort toward implementing this new behavior. As the behavior is consistently repeated, though, the connections between the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia strengthen, habit formation occurs, and then the behavior becomes more automatic, right? These connections between the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia, they're heavily reliant on the neurotransmitter of dopamine. So dopamine is our pleasure center, which essentially plays a role in reward processing. It kind of reinforces these things, right? So when we engage in a rewarding behavior, some of those are good behaviors and some are not so good behaviors for our health. Dopamine is released and reinforces that connection, right? Which strengthens the neural circuit and makes it more automatic and less conscious over time. Okay, so there we go with just a little bit of neuroanatomy, right? The main things to think of, we've got the prefrontal cortex. This is the thinking part of our brain. And then we have the basal ganglia, which is where the automatic behaviors are stored, right? So the key to understanding good habits and how to change unhelpful habits starts with the habit loop in your brain. So the latest research shows that by recognizing our habits through mindfulness, kind of like what Susan was mentioning, right? Kind of, oh, I noticed that first it starts with the soda. I can't remember if it was Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. I know that can make a difference, right? But then how that has a domino effect for then additional things at nighttime, right? Kind of this like emotional consumption that can happen. That happens for me for sure. Part of it is kind of just becoming mindful of these habit loops, right? Because then we can rewire the loop to change the habits. So very briefly, the habit loop consists of a cue, which is the stimulus that kind of gets our attention, a craving, which is a motivation or a desire to change, a routine, which is the response or how we act to satisfy that craving, and then some kind of reward or benefit. So for example, let's say, ding, you get a push notification on your phone, right? That ding on the phone is your cue. Then your routine or response is that you open up the message and you read it. The reward is that your curiosity is satisfied, you're getting maybe some information that you need, or you feel some social acceptance. Oh, someone reached out to me for something, that feels good. You're now cued to respond the same way the next time and repeat the loop. I would venture to say, if you are like me, not super technologically savvy all the time, the very first time you did that process, you hear a ding. What is that? What is that for? Oh, okay, I have to open my phone. It required more effort and energy, but then it's now an automatic thing that we do without thinking, right? So our brain will always try to take the path of least resistance. The brain creates pathways for habits that it can follow with ease. So when our brain is repeating a habit, this feeling of being on autopilot, it doesn't need to use much energy because it doesn't have to engage the prefrontal cortex, right? Nope, it's all back here in the basal ganglia. One question I have, this is something I think about for myself a lot of times. Why does it seem harder to stick with new habits when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're emotional, depressed, anxious? Put a 1 in the chat if that has ever happened for you. If you have just been like, oh, why? Like, I'm tired, I don't want to do this. Or right, like just you find that sometimes it's just hard, you feel depleted, right? These things drain our energy. When we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, our energy is depleted. And what do we need when we're working on new habits and behaviors? We need the energy from our prefrontal cortex. But when we're tired and fatigued and stressed, our prefrontal cortex disengages. And so then what do? We revert back to those well-oiled supersonic highways of our automatic habits and behaviors. And those might not be the habits that we're looking to continue to perpetuate, right? So then we revert back to the things that we're trying to change. Okay. The good news, though, is that behavior change and rewiring is possible. And this is what I'm so excited for Stephanie to really kind of dive into, right? Like we think about this concept of neuroplasticity, right? Neuroplasticity is the ability of neural networks in the brain to change through growth and reorganization. So it's when the brain is rewired to function in some way that differs from how it previously functioned. So you think of the brain as this dynamic connected power grid, right? There are billions of pathways. Think of these roads. These roads light up every time you're thinking, feeling, or doing something. Some of these roads are well-traveled, right? Habits. We do these things all the time. They're well-traveled. These are established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. And every time we think or act in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, all of these things come together to strengthen that pathway. And then it becomes easier and more automatic. So needing to kind of bring in all the senses, right? Bringing in all of these different modalities. There's going to be roadblocks, though, and detours along the way, right? Do you simply stop when you hit a detour sign? When you are driving on the road and you see road closed, detour, do you just stop? No, we don't. We find another way. And the brain does the same thing, right? If we think about something different, if we choose different emotions, or we're learning a new task, it's going to be hard at first. But the more we do it and reinforce that behavior, the more automatic it becomes, and that old pathway will weaken over time, right? We all have the ability to learn and change. At the core of neuroplasticity and rewiring habits is reflection, awareness, and intention, right? Kind of like Dee and Meg were talking about earlier, that, bringing things into our conscious awareness rather than being on the autopilot of being the pantry raccoon, which is what I refer to myself sometimes in the evenings, right? How did I get here? Wait, I'm at the pantry. What is it that I need right now? Is it that I need this snack? Maybe, but usually not, right? It's usually something else. So becoming more aware of those automatic habits so we can break that loop to then consciously start to retrain our brains to engage in the habits that we are looking to establish. It takes time, though. Stephanie's going to tell us, right, with these different tricks and tips, that it doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah, but Robin, you know what does happen overnight is that our brains have 700 new neurons that are added each day. 700. And like Dr. Robin said before, sleep, that is the best way to give your brain a deep cleanse. So you can try to make yourself go to sleep at night to stop those thoughts by even just rubbing and cleansing and massaging your head, and then visualizing that sleep is going to give that deep cleanse. So sleep is so restorative and so powerful.
That's right. Yes. And it's funny. I don't know if this ever happened for you, Stephanie. Like when I think about, when we're establishing and trying new habits, right? The intention, we can have an intention. It starts with an intention, right? So, the night before, I have an intention. I am going to wake up when my alarm goes off and I'm going to get up and work out. Darn it, right? And then the morning comes, the alarm goes off. I'm just going to hit snooze, right? What happened between having this wonderful intention and plan at night, and then the morning comes? What happens is, that alarm can go off and we're giving too much time for the prefrontal cortex to think about it because we hesitate, right? There's kind of these nanoseconds of opportunity where we hesitate. And that's normal. When something is difficult or new or scary, it can even be just for a brief second, we hesitate. And that can be the window of opportunity for you to talk yourself out of doing what you intend to do, right?
Yeah, that
That's
is.
where, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. That's reminding me of this quote that I heard from Jim Quick, the brain coach. If you want something you never had, you have to do something that you've never done. And, you know, trying something new. Our brains love that challenge. And with that challenge comes change. And if you've ever heard of the 3-bite rule, you know, put a 3 in the chat, because I'm going to give you something similar that kind of goes along with the 3-bite rule. And if you don't know what that is, you can ask your coach or ask someone who invited you to that. But I'm going to let you know some of these things, like Dr. Robin was saying, that fear and that the familiar is what holds us back from trying something new and changing our habits. So some of the 3 reasons of what you can do to try something new is to try something new once to get over that fear. First you would create your habits, and then your habits create you. Try it twice to begin to learn it and to begin to ingrain it. And then try it a 3rd time to see if you like it, you love it, or not, or if you're going to leave it. Like it, love it, or leave it. So, and they don't have to just be once of trying something new, trying something twice, trying something a 3rd time. It can go several times. But the first step is so important, to try something new once to get over that fear. Yeah.
That's right. And one of the tricks that I learned kind of with sort of getting over that hump or of fear and hesitancy, right? Sometimes we just need to take action, right? One of the things that I read about from Mel Robbins is the 5-second rule. All you need is 5 seconds, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, right? You think of a rocket ship blasting off, right? So first thing in the morning, that alarm goes off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just go. Just get out of bed. Don't give yourself time to think about, oh, I really don't want to, because your brain will talk you out of it, right? Your brain is very smart. Use it for you to cultivate the habits that you are looking to cultivate, right? And I know, Stephanie, we know that kind of when we can establish more connections through senses, that also helps to really solidify kind of those pathways to make new habits more automatic, right? I would love to hear you share some of the awesome brain hacks that you have, even just with regard to tips and tricks and incorporating the senses into some of these things.
Yeah, I would love it. So come on, everybody, we're going to the mental gym. I'm going to give you some boosting brain hacks that use all of our senses. So if you have some paper, get something to write with, get something to draw with, because it turns out that drawing whatever you're trying to remember dramatically improves your retention of it. So if you're just drawing pictures or doodling, you're not paying attention. You're actually helping your brain. So if you have something there, if you're driving, please don't do that. You can rewatch this recording and do that later. But I want to start with those 6 inches between these things right here. Our ears is our powerful brain. So let's start with our ears. So emotional eating brain hacks. Here we go. Music. So feel good music, songs that give you chills can change the rhythm of your brain. It releases that dopamine, a neurotransmitter. That dopamine is that neurotransmitter that Dr. Robin mentioned that's associated with reward and pleasure. And dopamine is also involved in regulating food intake and cravings. So there's also studies that show that, let's say you're craving that piece of chocolate cake or those chips and quesos that are there on the table. Put on your favorite song and the one that gives you chills, and start dancing around the kitchen. That pleasure reward for your brain. It also gives you that body, a little healthy movement too. So you're rewarding your body and you're rewarding your brain then too. And to also note that fast-paced music can actually make us eat faster and be mindless eating. So when you're having, say, your family dinner or people over or eating on your own, whatever that is, slow the pace of the music that you're having in the background. And it gives you that relaxing feeling, distracts your mind, also slows the pace of your eating, and you become more mindful. And then it gives your brain a chance to realize, okay, I am full and I'm fueling my body. and you can move on to your other fun activities. So, and how you can reward yourself with this hack is that, create a playlist. And I called mine Dancing in the Kitchen, and I have it on Spotify. Happy to share it with you, but you know what? It's your music that's going to make you have the chills and change those and release those dopamines in your brain. So, and throw those on when you're cooking, having meals, and cleaning up. Let's move to our eyes. Sight. Visualizing what we want and why is super powerful. But did you know that colors are just as powerful? So red is known to increase our hunger, and it triggers excitement. It's very common. You look at every single marketing out there, restaurants, especially Italian restaurants with those higher carbs, most of it's in red. The chicken place, the Golden Arches place, all of those have lots of red. Now let's move to blue. Blue decreases our appetite. So blue plates are great to use because it also is a contrast in the color of those brain healthy foods. And so perhaps you want to reward yourself with a blue plate that's 9 inches. And 9 inches is important because it also helps with portion control. Green gives you the sense of calmness because it's similar to nature and serenity and stability. So perhaps a meal al fresco or outside, but not right now because it's way too cold. And even here in the South. But that when it gets warmer, have that picnic outside. It helps with that mindful eating. Let's move to our nose, our smell. So do you want to enhance your memory? Do you want to boost your physical performance? Try the scent of peppermint. Peppermint has shown that it actually can enhance your memory and maybe help you do a push-up, one extra one. And how you do that, I'm not talking about the peppermint candy. I'm talking about candles or essential oils. That's all that you will need. And let's go into touch. So if you hold out your arms like this, everybody do this with me, hold out your arms like this and wrap your one arm around your opposite shoulder, wrap your other arm around your opposite shoulder and squeeze. You just gave yourself a hug. So a 20-second hug sends a signal to our brain that reduces stress, relieves our blood pressure, and ensures a healthy heart. So give yourself your own self a hug every day for 20 seconds, or somebody else too. And we'll go into mouth. So mouth and taste. So nutrition and hydration, we all know how important that is. There's brain healthy foods that are in our lean and greens, and drinking that water, hydrating your body. Both of those assist with brain function, mood regulation, memory, and emotions. And I know we're going to have a wonderful cooking demo later. So you'll have all these brain healthy foods to help with that mood regulation, memory, and emotions then too. So here's a quick little activity to help you remember these boosting brain hacks. And if you all hold on to your ears, music, eyes, blue, nose, peppermint, hug. Music, blue, peppermint, hug. Music, blue, peppermint, hug. There you go. And we're going to have some great nutrition later. Thanks, guys.
Oh my gosh, I want you guys to read the comments, and what you guys provided was such valuable information in really simple terms that we can understand. So we appreciate that, so gosh, so many takeaways with that. So thank you for being prepared and all that you shared. It's so helpful. Got some good stuff coming, you guys. We are going to do another drawing in just a few minutes, and we've also got our cooking demo coming up. But as Meg described our program and the different things that we offer, you can come into our program and go next level health at any stage. So we want you to hear from Sandy, who was already an active and fit person and decided she wanted more. She wanted to go next level and better. So so Sandy, I wrote Susan on your slide, but it is Sandy. So Sandy, if you'll come off mute, and we would love to hear your story.
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to be here. Nice to be asked to be here. So my health journey started with I had a lot of health issues unexpectedly. I was always a big exerciser. In fact, this look is because I just came from Jazzercise. I got really sick and ended up in the ICU for 10 days. And that didn't trigger a new health scare for me. I just continued what I was doing, exercising, what I thought was eating right. And then my parents both died in the last year and a half, within a year of each other, from health related issues, heart disease and Alzheimer's. And so that was a wake up call for me, not necessarily about the outside of me, but the inside of me. And so I'm a fellow Jazzerciser with Linda Young, who is my health coach. And I talked with her and talked about my struggles more so in my mind. I needed a program that was more about diet and quick weight loss and more about transforming my habits of health, basically, and my relationship with food. I'm a wife of a police officer. I've been a teacher for 32 years. I stress eat. The teacher's room is filled with chocolate and yummy things to keep us going through the day. And I needed to be more intentional so that I could reduce inflammation in my body and take care of my heart and take care of my lungs. And I wanted to go from surviving to thriving. And so when I spoke to Linda, she explained the program to me, and I thought it was a perfect fit because I liked that it had elements of eating healthy, making intentional choices, but also that book, that big thick book that I keep near me, and I go to it all the time. I go to different chapters in it. I play around with it, and when I really dove into it and filled it out and did all the journaling in it, I thought, wow, I got a lot of problems that I need to address, and they're not at the bottom of my glass of Pinot Grigio, and they're not at, crackers and cheese. I, once said, I don't want to live if I can't have cheese and crackers, but I am living so much healthier now and happier. And, I'm finally having what people call like that burst of energy. I've just, been surviving, and now I have clearer thoughts in my head. I sleep better. And I make more intentional choices with my food. And slightly like I have my family on board, but they just don't know it. They don't know they're eating lean and green. And they, I have adult boys and a husband. And so it's been, a really good journey for me. And I want to be the best self that I can be as I enter into my next phase of life, which should be retirement. I want to enjoy retirement and not, I want to be active and a part of it and engage in life. That's what I put in the chat. I wanted to engage in life. And, I practice all these things with my students, and all of the brain research we just heard. I use all those brain tricks with my students, my 3 to 6 year olds, my kindergartners. And I don't know why I'm not using them for myself. So I'm so thankful for the program, and I'm so thankful for the group and the website and all of it. Just, it goes together so beautifully for me, because I want to live a more holistic life. So thank you so much for asking me to be here. And, such an encouraging and positive group, which is what I bring to my Montessori classroom and my house. So now it's becoming part of my body.
Oh, man. Sandy, thank you for saying yes to sharing your story, because you really do sum up what we're all about. And I love that ripple effect to your family. We call that secondhand health. They don't even realize it's happening. So beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to you, Meg. I know you've got our next drawing coming up.
Yeah, we are so excited for our next winner, and it is Shelly Martin. So Shelly, congratulations. And we are excited for you. And, we've heard all these stories about going to the next level and making that decision to shift and change and grow and do the thing that's kind of gnawing at you. I know you just had a huge shift of your own. This is kind of unplanned, but we would love to hear a little bit about what has happened in your life in the last 20 days. Would you share with us?
Hi, guys. It's really early here in Seattle, so I'm hiding in a bathroom as my family is asleep. But yes, thank you so much. I'm so excited. It was so awesome to just hear the two different doctors talk about, especially really quickly, about the alarm, because I set my alarm to get up at 5 so I could be on the call at 6. And I literally woke up at 3:45, 3:30, and I couldn't go back to sleep because I was afraid I was going to miss my alarm. So I just got up. I was like, I don't want to hit that and hit snooze because I know my brain will make me do it. But anyway, it was a huge victory for me. Anyway, yeah, the last 20 days, I had lost all my weight. Um, 6 years ago. And then since middle of 2020, I slowly started gaining my weight back due to just traumas and reactions to life. And I gained double my weight back, actually, the largest I've ever been in my life. And I just was super unhealthy, and I've been super unhealthy. And Lauren Humans, who's my coach, loved me and kept contacting me. And so she would just send me text messages, and sometimes I'd respond, a lot of times I didn't. And then finally I was just ready. And when you're ready, it's like I was ready in my head, ready. And so I just went all in on January 1st, and I've lost 10 pounds so far. But more than that, I have not had heartburn since January 1st, which I have been on Prilosec for 3 years, taking it every day and living on Tums. I'm sleeping way better. I'm not snoring anymore. That's a huge one for me. And my clothes are starting to feel more comfortable, and just it affects my confidence. I had typed in the beginning when Megan B asked, what is your goal? And for me, it's just being my authentic self, like who I know I was actually made to be, not hiding, I guess, behind the weight and just depression and not being healthy. So it's been super exciting. For the first time, I've dove into my book. I'm doing my book every day, and that's been a game changer for me. Yeah, it was it's been like a game changer for me, and being a part of the community. Sorry guys, I dropped my earbud. Staying a part of the community and locked in. So thank you so much. I'm super excited, and I'm going all in, and I'm staying all in. So I'm grateful. And I know when I have hiccups, you guys are there for me, and I can message any single one of you, even through the Eat Live and Be, what's the word? On the Facebook page. I can message anybody on there or on the coaching page, and people will get back to me and support me. So I'm just really grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shelly, for being willing to share. And it's so cool, the shift in just 20 days that you went from being stuck and just surviving to waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, being excited to learn about health and taking your health to the next level. So we are so excited for you. We are going to move now to our next phase of this morning, which so many of us are excited about. Carolyn, you are a chef. You are an incredible human being. You make cooking fun and simple, and we're excited for the food you're going to make with us today. Can you take yourself off mute?
Hey guys, how you doing today? I've learned so much already from this call, so I'm happy that everybody's here to learn about a couple lean and greens that I'm going to put together for everybody. The first thing I wanted to relate is I started Optavia during the pandemic. So I was home with my kids, my husband, we were all home together. And the nice thing about the lean and greens I found was I could cook them for my family. I'd adjust a little bit of carbs for them, but they could eat all the lean and greens with me. And so I really had a lot of fun experimenting and trying new things and really trying to show everybody that, healthy food is delicious and you can make it pretty and it could be, good to eat. I always felt like we're not, I can't have that. I'm like, no, I'm choosing not to have that, but I'm choosing to have something healthy. And I also learned, through the Life book and through a lot of nutrition education, that food is fuel. So I love that we call our fuelings fuel. We don't eat for comfort. We eat to fuel our body and to get our body strong and healthy. So there's so many foods that help our brain, help our body. And just in correlation with Dr. Robin and Stephanie, I wanted to share their bit of knowledge about some of the foods that are healthy for our brain. Eggs are a great source of B6 and B12, and they have great omega-3 fatty acids, as does avocado. A lot of people are surprised that we can have avocado on our plan, but yeah, it's a healthy fat. Our body needs fat. And also leafy greens. Leafy greens are such a great source of vitamins for us, and they help with our memory. And we can have nuts on plan. Walnuts are a really good source of, let's see here, again, omega-3 fatty acids. So there's a lot of food to treat it as almost medicine for our body, right? We're going to treat ourselves to get healthy with food, not just with medicine. So today I'm going to make a lean and green to show everybody. And I also want to share some pantry staples that I have that I've adapted that make food flavorful without any extra sugar or calories. And then I also want to share, I have some pantry equipment that I use that I think is helpful. I love our Dash Waffler, but there's also some other things. I could even just start off right now. I use this cutting board every day and it has my scale right on it. So I weigh my protein 3 years later. I started, as I said, I lost my weight during the pandemic. I still weigh my protein every day. And I'm also surprised how much protein you can have on plan. So what we're gonna do today, I'm gonna make a turkey zucchini burger. I'm sorry, a chicken zucchini burger with tzatziki sauce, and then a red cabbage slaw. And I'll share all the recipes with you because I'll probably talk fast because I want to respect your time. But the nice thing is, you can see this. I weighed this out. This actually is the amount of protein that you can have in this. The reason that it looks so big, we're mixing the turkey with shredded zucchini. This makes the burger much moister and bigger. A lot of people are like, I want, more food. So the turkey that I'm doing is, I keep calling it turkey, but I did chicken today. It's ground chicken, a little bit of feta cheese, some herbs and spices, and the shredded zucchini and egg white. So I'll show you. I get it from Costco. You can get it anywhere. Egg white is a great binder and it has hardly any calories. We can have 14 egg whites as a leanest. And so the fact that we're never really going to eat who eats 14 egg whites, but I use it as a binder in a lot of my cooking. And I wanted to show you the zucchini. So when you shred the zucchini has a lot of moisture in it. And so we want to get the moisture out of the zucchini. So I'm taking a clean kitchen towel and I'm going to take all the moisture out of it. That way I can add it into my ground chicken and make it into a burger with a lot of my herbs and spices. And I want to show you, this is a special, I don't know if anybody's seen this tagine. I use this in the chicken burger today. It just adds, it's like a chili lime. You can get it anywhere, any store. No calories, but a ton of flavor. It has a nice lime flavor. And I added into the turkey, the chicken and the zucchini. So I mix this together. I weigh this before I cook it, but I'm also going to weigh it afterwards. And just show you. I made some ahead of time just to save time, but you can see these 2 burgers are 1 serving of the lean and green, right? The 1 lean. Because I have so much zucchini in here, I'm treating the zucchini as one of my greens. The ground chicken is my lean, and we can have 6 ounces of that. And I used a little bit of egg white in here to bind it. And I also put in some feta cheese, and I'm treating the feta cheese as a condiment. So it's a lot of food, right? But it's mixed with the vegetable. So the protein, I'm stretching the protein by adding the vegetable to it. And just the flavoring of the cheese. One thing I learned about cheese, I don't eat like a chunk of cheese and a cracker. I've decided that I don't need that much dairy in my life. I treat cheese like a flavoring. So the feta cheese is a flavor. It's almost like sprinkling salt or pepper into something. I sprinkle cheese into it. So it adds a nice flavor without adding a lot of, fat and calories that we don't really need from like a chunk of cheese. So I have my turkey burgers. I'm leaving them on my pan. I'll show you that pan later. As a matter of fact, I wanted to show you guys a good tool that I use. It's a great nonstick pan. But I also cut up a lot of stuff here. So I have my cabbage already cut up. And one thing I want to talk to you about is fresh herbs. No calories. They have so much flavor. And you can freeze herbs in the freezer if you want to use it. I could show you that. But I put some fresh herbs in my cabbage. And then I also cut up some pepper and radishes. How pretty is that, right? I mean, it just looks pretty. And it has a ton of fiber, a lot of water, which we need. And it also looks good. The nice thing about peppers, radishes, and cabbage, this salad will last all week. It doesn't wilt like a green salad. So this is something that I would meal prep on a Sunday and make, and it would last, the whole week if I want to use it. And I do measure it out. I have my measuring cup, but I also have, and it's in the recipes, I won't go through it, but a lot of herbs and spices. This just adds extra flavor. Again, without any calories, without any sugar. But we were trying to boost our flavor palette, and this is something that really helps with that. So I would put that in. Then I made the dressing. I wanted to talk to you about, take it up. The dressing has sesame oil. And so sesame oil is an oil that I like to use a lot because it has flavor. We count it as the same healthy fat as an olive oil or an avocado oil, but it imparts a lot of flavor. The other thing with my dressing, I love vinegars. Vinegars are so great to use unplanned. They impart so much flavor. I used rice wine vinegar in this because it has a little bit of sweetness. But I also like balsamic glaze, red wine vinegar. There's so many different fun flavors of vinegar that don't add sugar or calories to your dish. So take it up. And I'm just going to toss this. See how pretty it looks with all the colors. And done. It's pretty simple. Again, this will last all week. And then we're going to top it with the tzatziki sauce. I love to tell my clients about Costco, Trader Joe's. They have really great convenience food, but I like to make stuff homemade because I like to see what's in it. And I have more control over the ingredients. But I love the Costco tzatziki, and I also love the Trader Joe's tzatziki, especially if I'm in a pinch. But today I'm making one. So one thing I like to talk about, I never use like mayonnaise. This is my go-to non-fat Greek yogurt. I use it as a replacement for sour cream. I use it as a replacement for mayonnaise in a lot of dips and a lot of sauces. And it's completely fine to have unplanned. So I have my fresh dill, my cucumber, and I'm mixing it with the Greek yogurt. And I've already added in some garlic powder. And guess what? It's done. It's that simple, so healthy food is pretty, but it can also be really simple. So I'm going to plate this and show you. Oops. Grab my burgers. Trip over my dog. All right, so we have the burgers. So the zucchini in the burger is going to be one of my greens. And I still have room for my other green, which is the cabbage salad. And then I'm going to put the tzatziki on top. There you go. Pretty simple and filling. And sometimes, it's actually too much food sometimes for me. So maybe I'll split out half for lunch, half for dinner. But I hope that was helpful. So I'll put this aside. Actually, I'll leave it right there. A couple other things I wanted to talk about was the equipment. So I have my scale here. Again, I weigh my food every day in the scale. I also like to get a good nonstick skillet, because if you buy a nice nonstick skillet, you don't need to use a lot of oil if you're cooking. So I spray my oil. Oh, here it is. With this sprayer. See this? So it sprays the, I can't see, sorry. It sprays the olive oil into my pan, so I don't have to use any artificial, sprays or anything. And it just does a very light dusting of olive oil. So this is the tool I like to use. I just got it on Amazon. And again, I like this pan. It's my dog. And then the cutting board with the scale. So habits I still carry today. I always weigh my protein, as I said, it's really important. And it just helps me to have it right here in front of me, so I don't break that habit. It's not like I put the scale away, in my cupboard and forget about it. Another thing I wanted to share is swaps. So unsweetened almond milk. I use this instead of regular milk now. I use it in my coffee. I use it in my shakes. We can have a cup of this as one condiment. So unsweetened almond milk is something I always have in my pantry. I shared with you about the egg whites. I always have these in my pantry. Another thing I can bring over for you. I like this brand, Kinder's. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's tons of these brands. I buy a lot of this is caramelized onion butter powder. This is truffle seasoning. I have the tagine I told you about. This is prime rib if I'm cooking steak. It's all these fun, flavorful herbs. And if you look, they don't have, here, 0 calories, right? So you're adding flavor to your protein without any calories. And then this is another one. I don't know if you've ever tried this. It's nutritional yeast. It's another flavor palette for cheese. It's a vegan cheese and it has a ton of flavor and very little calories. And I have one for seafood too that I use. So those are in my pantry. Let's see what else. I also wanted to quickly talk about the recipes. I'll share these recipes, obviously, and I have other recipes on my Instagram account from some cooking events I did. Optavia has great recipes that they have for us. There's 3 different areas that I go for recipes for our lean and green. The first one is Optavia 411. That's the link tree that I share with all my clients. There's a ton of recipes in there, and they're portioned out to say, count this is a lean, this is a green, this is a healthy fat. We also have our Optavia app that has great lean and green recipes in it. And there's also Sandy's Kitchen. So if you're not on Facebook or you're not using the app, you can just go online to Sandy's Kitchen. And that's really a very extensive list of recipes and how to count them as, the lean, the fat, the condiment, etc. So I use that as a resource, as well as I make stuff up too. I love to take a recipe and just change it so it's healthy for us on, Optavia. So I think that's it. Hope this was helpful.
Very helpful, Carolyn. Very careful. A couple of people asked, what is the name of that combo food scale cutting board that you have?
It's 4T7. I could share it. Let me see if I can lift it up so you can see the picture of it.
That's amazing. Oh, okay. 4T7.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, if you are a registered participant, we're going to send you a thank you email for being here, along with a recording of the show and of the event. And we will include Carolyn's recipes, and Carolyn, if we could, include that in those other tips that you have. So I don't know about you. If you didn't live so far, I would be over for lunch in a heartbeat.
Come over. I have a lot of the salad left over. I have all the chicken burgers left over.
So good. Well, thank you, Carolyn, for doing that for us. Lots of positive comments in the chat. Good. So we appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay. So just continuing on, as I want you to hear another story that's so powerful. But one thing that happens within Optavia, we talk about healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, and 2 things happen when you're a part of this and you start transforming. As you heard from a lot of these stories, when you start transforming, you people notice, and you also want to share. So one option is, and many of our clients choose it, is to step into coaching. So just wanted to show you real briefly some of the benefits of coaching is that it really reinforces our decision to become healthy. Even me being 13 years later, being on something like this, staying connected to this community, it reinforces to me what's possible. And the same is good for you as well. Paying it forward and making a difference. you know, there's two really great needs in this country, and one is to feel like you're making a difference. It's a rooted human desire to feel like we're making a difference in the world, and also financial. Right? Financial, many of us could use some additional income in our lives. And wow, to be able to do something that makes a difference, and also can provide, you know, not only the currency of goodwill, but also financial resources. And to be able to like leave a legacy and make a difference in somebody's life is so important. The one thing I do want you to know is that you do not have to be a neuro specialist. You do not have to be a doctor or have a professional degree. We are a business based on heart. And if you're willing to be coachable, to be teachable, you have a good work ethic, any of us on this call could actually make a difference in somebody else's life. So I want to introduce you to Josh, who has a powerful story, and also a mission of taking his own journey and why he's so passionate about sharing it with other people in his world. So Josh, if you can come off mute for us.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I started the program probably about after 5 months or so, visiting a couple different doctors. Just tried probably every diet out there, you know, under the sun, keto, just everything, fasting, everything you could think of. And probably the biggest thing is that I found is I just didn't know what to do. And everything worked a little bit. And I really didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to lose the weight, but I was probably the biggest I've ever been. And I had a new baby on the way, wanted to be a lot healthier, not as sleep deprived. So I went to a couple different doctors. They really just told me to eat some vegetables and work out, and you know, tried that for a solid month, meal prepped and all that kind of stuff, and didn't really lose any weight. You know, just a lot of time. So had a friend at work that did this, that did Optavia, and really encouraged me. She lost a lot of weight and maintained it. So started on it. I'm down about 80 pounds. You know, I'm just a normal guy that didn't know anything about it before. Down about 80 pounds in about 7 months. I'm a really, you know, inactive person doing my job. I just drive around all day doing sales and stuff. So didn't really have a lot of time, extra time to work out, either waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going from about 5:30 in the morning until about 9, 10 o'clock at night. So didn't have a lot of time. So that was why it was attractive to me. Worked really well, gave me a really solid plan to follow. It was really easy, I think, really easy to do. You know, there's in your life book, they talk about micro decisions, and it really just kind of laid everything out to where I only had to really make one decision a day, and that was what to eat for my lean and green. So that was probably the most helpful. It allowed me to come off of my CPAP. I had sleep apnea. To come off of that, get so much better sleep. Just generally happier person now. You know, you look at your before photos and you look how miserable you look, and then you look at the ones now, and it's pretty clear on you know, what you look like and how much it changed your mood. So you know, then I started to decide that, hey, maybe I can make an impact in somebody else's life. You know, being a male, I know, you know, there's not a lot of guys that talk about this with each other, and kind of the benefits that they have, and losing the weight. You know, we just kind of suffer in silence, if you will, and just there's not a lot of talk about it. So maybe, you know, helping guys, real world stuff that you know, to motivate somebody or to encourage them, that let them know it's not, their goals aren't that far away. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm really happy to be here, and Optavia really changed my life, not only in, you know, just losing the weight, but my attitude, my, you know, all the other intangible things that it does for you that you really don't realize. You know, habits, the micro habits that you get. You know, I always carry water around with me, and it's just like you guys said earlier. You know, they become habits and become, you know, you don't even think about it. So,
Man,
thank you.
Josh, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing and sharing what is possible for people. We are so excited for you, and excited to continue watching you just shine. So thank you so much. Well, we have had such a powerful morning so far. I am hungry. I don't know about you after watching Carolyn's cooking demo. I want some of that tzatziki sauce, Carolyn. That was just incredible. And we heard so many stories today. And one of the threads that was just included in all of the stories is the power of a decision. You know, Susan talked about when she made her decision, it was urgent and she was still reversible, right? She still had the power to choose. And that's really when we want to make that decision, right? When we still have the voice, when we still have the power to choose. And so just so inspired. I loved the phrase, I can go back to living. And I believe that was Susan who said it. And the way she said it was while she was on her journey, while she was still contending, she gets to continue living. And getting the weight off is the living, right? And I think that's so powerful. You know, we called this Enjoy More in 2024, right? But I think the invitation is, we're in the now. It is 2024. This is the one beautiful life we all get to live. And so how do you want to live it? While it's still on your terms, what is it that you want in this year? I don't know about you, but I've spent too long letting life just happen instead of letting my life be exactly what I want it to be, right? Making the decisions on my terms. So that is the challenge for us today. Make that decision while you still can. Make that decision to just be 1% better, to work in that area of life that you know is calling to you. It makes such a difference. So we are going to send you an email that has the links that Carolyn mentioned and all of those things, has the recipes, has a recording. And we just want to challenge you to take your next step, whatever that is, whatever that thing is. It might be in your health, it might be in your mental health, might be in your sleep. Hey, maybe you're like Josh and you're listening today and you're like, I kind of want to help other people get these wins in their health, whatever that looks like for you, but take that next step. We have a group of people that are starting a Revive and Thrive in 2024. And so I'm actually going to post the link right now in the chat for you to join us. It starts on Monday. And there are so many people on this call right now that made the decision at the beginning of the year, 20 days ago, that they wanted to start reviving and thriving in 2024. If that was you, would you put in the chat what has happened in your life in the last 20 days since you said, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to take that next step. I'm going to take personal responsibility and accountability for where I am now and where I want to be. Put it in the chat, because we know, as we've heard your stories, we know what has happened, and we know what's possible. Even just in 20 days, even just in 7 days, there is so much that is possible for you. And of course, we want to encourage you to connect with whoever it was that invited you today. And let's see some of these answers that have come in. Ooh, Stephanie already got back to her goal weight, which is incredible. Mood is improved, mental clarity, mental freedom, back to structure, more energy, clothes fitting better. Man, mood regulation, better sleep. The holiday weight is coming off, brain fog is gone, reduced reflex, better sleep, continue thriving to my best ever health, peace, confidence, less inflammation. Man, so many incredible things. I don't know where you find yourself today. You might be in the pit, right? You might be in this place where you're like, man, must be nice for those people. Must be nice for the people that already made that decision. But we want you to know it's possible for you. It's possible for you right now, and so much can be different for you in the next 7 days. So just want to encourage you, use what you learned today about the power of what's going on in your brain, and imagine what it's like if you made that decision to be more in 2024, to step into who you know you were always meant to be. You know, there's this quote by Dr. Seuss that I just love. I've got a first grader, so I love Dr. Seuss. And it goes like this: today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. And we hope you feel that. We know that's true for you today. And we are excited to see what's next for you in your health and in your life. So we hope you decide to join us for Revive and Thrive. It starts on Monday. The link is in the chat, and we'll also email it out to you. Dee, anything you want to share?
Not really. I am, my heart is full with what we've been able to offer today. I have loved the feedback from you who have been on this call. So again, great decision to invest in yourself. And I think the one other favor I would ask, right, as you are stepping into your next step with this, is please don't do this in the dark. All right. Like I found Optavia because somebody shared it with me. Right. And very often we're kind of living our own bubble and we think, let me just take care of me and let me make sure this works, et cetera. But our mission is big. We want to help so many people. I feel like it's the best secret that people don't know about yet. So if there's somebody in your world you care about, share that. We're going to send you the recording, share the recording, talk about this, let people know how your life is changing.
That is beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all of our speakers. You inspired us all with your heart and just who you are. And so thank you for being on live with us, whether you're in the live stream or here in Zoom. We are so grateful and we are looking forward to partnering with you on whatever it is that is your next step. From our hearts to yours, we love you. Have a great day.